Hey there, my name is James Lee. Welcome to my channel 5149, where I talk business, politics, and society. And today we are talking about democracy. Specifically, is it true that in the United States we have one party that is out to dismantle and destroy our democracy and another party that is here to protect and save it?
We'll be asking my Republican friends in Congress and states and cities and counties to stand up for God's sake and help prevent this concerted effort to undermine our election and the sacred right to vote. Have you no shame?
That's right, have you no shame? It's quite clear what Biden was alluding to. Republicans facing an unfavorable demographic shift are doing everything they can to make voting more difficult, like with the new election laws that just recently passed in Texas. And the Democrats, on the other hand, they represent the bastion of democracy and are doing everything they can to protect our electoral integrity. At least that's what they say.
So hear me clearly. There's an unfolding assault taking place in America today, an attempt to suppress and subvert the right to vote and fair and free elections. An assault on democracy, an assault on liberty, an assault on who we are as Americans.
Who we are as Americans. Who are we? Well, at least from the perspective of examining those who have, any say at all in this country, we are a country whose leaders are willing to use women as props to justify more war, even though the majority of the U.S. public favors Afghanistan troop withdrawal, and a country whose leaders are willing to kill legislation reforming the absurdly high prescription drug prices we pay because they stand to benefit financially through millions in campaign donations. A reform, by the way, that's supported by 90% of Americans, 96% of Democrats, 88% of independents, and 83% of Republicans. You really can't get much more bipartisan than that, yet we can't get it done in our so-called democracy. And despite what the Democrats say, this isn't a GOP problem, it's an American problem.
We must ask those who represent us at the federal, state, and local levels, will you deny the will of the people? Will you ignore their voices?
I don't know, will you? Because it seems like you, and I'm talking about the collective you as in all our political elites, are only willing to pretend to listen to voters if and only if it aligns perfectly with your particular interest. Take a look at what's going on in Buffalo, New York. In the Democratic primary for mayor of Buffalo earlier this year, challenger India Walton defeated four-term incumbent Byron 50.5% to 46%. Yeah, so alrighty, the voters, they've spoken. It's time to coalesce behind the primary winner, right? Kind of like what they told Bernie to do after it became clear he wasn't going to win the Democratic presidential primary. You got to drop out and help Biden. Yeah, well, except, if this particular candidate is a socialist and threatens to upend the entrenched corporate Democratic machine in Buffalo. So yeah, in this case, you may have gotten this. Buffalo Mayor Byron announces general election write-in campaign after losing primary to India Walton. I mean, can you imagine if Bernie Sanders would have launched a write-in campaign last year? Everybody would have lost their minds.
People are fearful about the future of our city. They are fearful about the future of their families. They are fearful about the future of their children. And they have said to me that they do not want a radical socialist occupying the mayor's office in Buffalo City Hall.
Oh my God, Byron, he just went full Tucker Carlson on us. And it's not even like this is a hypothetical thing. This fear that he's talking about, of people not wanting a so-called radical socialist mayor. His argument doesn't even make any sense here because the people voted for her, knowing full well what kinds of ideas and policies she stands for.
I am a democratic socialist. The first word in that is Democrat. I am also the Democratic nominee for the office of mayor of Buffalo. My policies are socialist policies. Many things that we enjoyed during the pandemic, like our economic stimulus, like SNAP benefits for families with children, like free health care, that is what I want to bring into governance in Buffalo, and most importantly, co-governance, right? And a level of transparency and accountability.
Now, what's so wrong with our ideas, especially given the fact that they've been endorsed by the voters of Buffalo? I mean, isn't that what we're talking about here? Democracy? I mean, you can kind of disagree with the ideas, but she won the election. So I don't know what the problem is. Well, it's difficult to think of a greater threat to New York's real estate developers than India Walton, the socialist affordable housing advocate who in June won the Democratic mayoral primary over incumbent Byron Brown 51% to 46%. And this is what I'm talking about. It's not whether you agree or disagree with India Walton and the ideas that she stands for. It's about how her ideas represent a threat to the current ruling class. And in this case, the ruling class is all hands on deck. After losing the primary to Walton, Brown quickly launched a write-in campaign for the general election. But his petition came long after the May 25th deadline to submit such a request had passed, and the issue is now tied up in courts, where again, developer influence raises red flags. Drumroll, we are about to follow the money. On September 3rd, federal judge John Sinatra Jr. ruled in Brown's favor in a case brought by his supporters to allow him on the ballot. Sinatra's brother, Nick Sinatra, is the founder and chief executive officer of Sinatra and Company Real Estate, often shortened by the company to Sinatra & Co., and a major supporter of Brown's. He has given at least $10,400 to Brown's mayoral campaign since 2013, including contributions from the company, and $2,000 since his last election in 2017. Judge Sinatra was also previously a partner at a firm that gave handsomely to Brown's mayoral campaigns and has routinely represented Brown in the city in legal matters to the tune of millions of dollars, including a 2010 lawsuit over retaliation against a whistleblower in the police department. This is like blatant, undemocratic, corrupt behavior from a party that supposedly espouses values like liberty, justice, democracy, equality. At this point, they're even willing to let one of their favorite things, identity politics, go by the wayside here. India Walton would be the first female mayor of Buffalo, right? How many times have we heard and been reminded of over and over that Kamala Harris would be and is the first female vice president of the United States? It's all hollow. It's not about progress. It's not about equality. It's not about fairness. It's not about female empowerment. It's about finding the right female, or in some cases the right black person, who's willing to go along with perpetuating our oppressive system and who they can use to signal progress, all while upholding the status quo. I'm once again reminded of the quote, "Diversity strengthens systems, even oppressive ones." So let's not kid ourselves. We are not a democracy. Neither of our major parties are actually serious about democracy. We live in a corporatocracy, a society or system that is governed or controlled by corporations. Neither party really cares about voting rights or democracy. They don't care about justice. Quite honestly, they don't really care about you. They're not fighting for you. Their number one priority is fighting to protect the interests of the donor class, be it real estate in the case of Buffalo, or banking, or pharma, etc., etc. And yet, for some reason, neither party can come out and admit this.
Have you no shame?
That's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please feel free to engage with me and others in the comment section below. If you've enjoyed this video, please check out some of my other ones. And if you can, hit that like button on this video and share this video with your friends and family. Also, if you feel inclined but haven't done so yet, please subscribe to my channel so I can keep making more videos. I want to give a shout out to Noah Okas for designing the thumbnail for last week's video. Really, really appreciate it. And as always, thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you next week.